Hi, welcome. This is a video on how to graph from factored form from quadratic equations, and this is at the highly proficient level. So they've given us a quadratic equation, and we need to factor it in order to, well, graph it from factored form. So the first thing I'm going to do is factor out the greatest common factor. You recall we've got um, greatest common factor, GCF. 2 I call DOS, that's difference of squares, dos, because you have two terms. And then you have 3, you have a trinomial. And so I'm going to first just try to factor out the greatest common factor and see what happens here. And I can see they both have a 3 in common. So I'm going to change that f of x to y. Y equals 3 times x squared minus 1. And so I've done my greatest common factor, and inside the parentheses I only have two terms, and so I'm asking myself, maybe this is a difference of squares, because it's not a trinomial. There's not three terms, so difference of squares. And I ask myself, well, it's x squared and it's 1, and that looks a little strange. But then I go, yeah, well, one squared is 1. So yeah, this is the difference of squares. And so if I know what my a value is, I can say this is x squared minus blah blah squared, and that would be 1. Then I can factor that, and it would give me 3 times x and plus 1 and minus 1. And that's how this would look like factored. And so then if I want to know where my x-intercepts are, I'm just going to set my y equal to 0. And then set the variables all equal to 0. 3 cannot be 0 because it doesn't have a variable with it, so it's just going to be 3. But x plus 1 and x minus 1, I can write x plus 1 is equal to, I don't need it in parentheses, x plus 1 equals 0, or x minus 1 equals 0. And here I'm going to subtract 1 and subtract 1, boom, boom, x equals negative 1. And over here I'm going to add 1 and add 1, and that cancels. X then equals 1. And so my x-intercepts are at negative 1, 0, and 1, comma 0. And it is, again, important to remember that when y equals 0, that's when you have your x-intercepts. And so your y-coordinate of your x-intercepts is always going to be 0. And you can find it by putting your equation with y equal to 0. And then my x-intercepts, negative 1 and 1, those are going to be the x values of those x-intercepts. So then I can graph them, negative 1 and 1, 0. My vertex is going to be on the axis of symmetry, which is halfway in between those two lines. And since there's 1, 2, and half of 2 is 1, my axis of symmetry is just going to be the y-axis. So somewhere on the y-axis, this is going to be my vertex. And to find out where it goes, I'm just going to plug that value, x equals 0, into the original equation to find where is the vertex. So let me just write here, x equals 0, and the equation f of x I'm going to call y. Y equals 3 times 0 squared minus 3. And 0 squared is 0, and 0 times 3 is 0, so that just cancels, leaving minus 3. Y equals minus 3. And so my vertex happened when x equals 0 and y equals negative 3. And so I go over here at 0, and I go down to negative 3, and then I can draw my sketch. So it goes up kind of like that, and like that on the other side as well. So it's U-shaped, and that's kind of what it looks like, and there you have it.